Trojan Sports Now.
We are back, and we're going to kick things off with a little bit of Trojan football. And if you haven't already heard, the Trojans are 1-0 on the season so far after having defeated Austin Peay this past Saturday by 40 points. The Trojan offense racked up a total of 706 yards on the night, with 303 of those being in the air, all coming from the arms of 3 different quarterbacks. In its first home opener, the Trojan football team defeated the Governors of Austin Peay by a final score of 57-17. Quarterback Brandon Silvers led the way for the Trojan offense, completing 20 of his 27 passes for a total of 229 yards.
Brandon Silvers really managed the game well. He did not make a bad decision until late in the second quarter. I thought he managed the game well. I thought our tempo was really good when we pressed the gas. I thought he threw the ball downfield, probably better than he has at any point in his career.
You know, it's just a great feeling to start 1-0, you know, undefeated. You know, you try to go 1-0 every weekend. So, you know, it's great to start off like that.
And right behind Silvers is freshman quarterback Sawyer Smith, who on Saturday night completed all of his 7 passes for a total of 86 yards. And it was Smith whose number was called when the Trojans needed a big play.
My gut got tested a little bit there because I think we were down when he went in the game, weren't we? It was 14-13. It's kind of easy to play when the game's not in doubt. But the game was in doubt right there, and that was the best ball he's thrown.
And when Smith took the field, Silvers says there wasn't an ounce of doubt as to what would happen next.
Like I called it, man. It was about to be a touchdown because they were playing up, and I knew that post, supposed to be a post, but it was like a go. But I knew it was about to be a touchdown. I was so happy for that guy.
And with that guy, Sawyer Smith, and a seasoned quarterback in Brandon Silvers, the Trojans will look to keep that momentum going against their next opponent, the number 2 ranked Clemson Tigers.
And Coach Neil Brown has a strategy for taking on Clemson, but it's the players that will have to carry that out. And how exactly are the players looking to execute that strategy? Well, I'll have the details.
It's more of a blessing to go play at a place that's got 90,000 fans in it, obviously.
It's a bunch of emotions. I'm like excited, I want to cry, you know. It's just...
Those are some of the words that the Trojans are using to describe their upcoming matchup with Clemson this Saturday. And why not? It's not every day that you get to play the number 2 team in the nation, but the respect for the Tigers is present as well.
They're definitely going to be a lot bigger and a lot more athletic, you know. The number 2 rated team for a reason, you know, they're really good. They stopped a good Auburn offensive team, so it's only 13 points, so we got our work cut out for us this week.
Along with the rest of the country, the Trojans have their eyes on one Tiger especially. Number 4, the quarterback, Deshaun Watson.
I'm just ready to go against him, see how good he is.
Probably one of the best players, if not the best quarterback in the, you know, in the nation. So, you know, we got to score a lot of points. You know, we're not expecting them to stop him every time. You know, I don't think Auburn did a pretty good job this week, but they'll probably come out even better this week.
But enough about Clemson. There'll be 2 teams out on that field Saturday, and the Trojans are looking to establish their game.
And I think if we can establish that run early, it gives us something to go back to, especially when we get down to closer second short, third and short situations, if we can rely back on that run game to get us that first down.
You know, it's 11 on 11. You know, they got 11, we got 11. So we're just going out there. There's no big plays you got to make. You know, every time, you know, just routine plays. And you got to execute when you get the big shot. So that's what we're going to go into the week focusing on.
Really, I mean, for preparing-wise, we don't do anything different. You know, we come in, we worry about us before we have to worry about another team.
And for one Trojan, Saturday's game is like a homecoming with some added nerves.
You know, I'm from the upstate as well, so I'm playing in front of my whole family, my entire city, so it is a lot.
Jahmal Kennedy, Trojan Sports Now.
And as Jahmal said, we're all aware of the team that is awaiting Neil Brown's Trojans in Death Valley this weekend. Not the Tigers of LSU, but the number 2 team in all the land, the Clemson Tigers. And we just heard from the players what they'll have to do to be successful. How exactly is Neil Brown approaching this contest?
I think it's about us making a steady improvement.
That's the overall game plan that head coach Neil Brown is looking to execute going into this week's matchup against the number 2 ranked Clemson Tigers.
You know, through these first 3 games of the season, it's about us steadily getting better. And when we hit our 4th game, when New Mexico State comes here and we play at home again, we've got to be ready to click on all cylinders.
The Trojans know their opponent, and Coach Brown doesn't have to remind his team. But in addition to the opposite team on the field, the Trojans will face another challenge as well.
I don't need to go in front of the team today when I see them at 3 o'clock and talk about Clemson being the number 2 ranked team or Deshaun Watson being the Heisman Trophy candidate or them being really good on defense. They can turn on Sports Center and see that. Anytime you're playing in that heat, I think it's going to be in the low to mid 90s at kickoff on Saturday. So you play those day games, you got to be prepared to play a lot of guys. And when you play a lot of people, especially young guys, you're going to find out early what they're about.
If you want to beat a top-ranked team, there are just some things that you absolutely have to do. And despite the defense opposing Troy and the mismatch in the trenches, Neil Brown's team must convert.
They're going to always outnumber you in the box, regardless of your personnel. I think they'll have one more than you can block. The biggest mismatches for us are up front. Their D-line against our offensive line. So we've got to figure out ways to put our guys in favorable positions, and we've got to be able to hold on to the ball, which means converting third downs.
Even with the odds stacked against the Trojans, there is one thing that Coach Brown is confident in.
Well, we're playing with the same type of energy. We've got some confidence about us. We're taking the field with belief. We'll take a confident group into Clemson.
The Trojans will leave Friday morning for Clemson, South Carolina, where they'll play an 11:30 a.m. Central Time game on Saturday.
And it was a rough week for the Trojans soccer team last week, and it looks like that week is only going to get even tougher as they'll have to round out their 4-game road trip this weekend. First up is a matchup under the lights against Mercer on Friday, and then Troy will take on the number 1 ranked team, the Florida State Seminoles. However, there is some hope for the Trojans after they played Ole Miss closely, and the Seminoles are coming off a loss, a 1-0 defeat to Sunbelt opponent South Alabama.
And now from the gridiron to the court, the volleyball court serves up where Sonny Kirkpatrick's team is coming off the Trojan Invitational where they finished with a record of 2-2. But this week, it's all about practice to straighten out some inconsistencies that may still be holding down Kirkpatrick's team.
Well, they understand that when they do the things that we work on every day in practice, we're a pretty good team. We just have to, be a little bit more consistent with that. When our servicey breakdowns, that's when we have problems. So that's the key this week going into Alabama State, just trying to make sure our serve receive is a lot better.
Friday evening, the Trojans will look to swat away the Alabama State Hornets. That game is set for 6 p.m.
Coming off a second-place men's finish and a ninth-place women's finish, the cross-country team will next travel to Mobile to run in the Azalea City Classic hosted by South Alabama. That event will start on Friday.
The men's golf team is reigning Sunbelt champions, and even made the NCAA field last spring. And now it's about time to get back into the swing of things this fall. Head coach Matt Terry explains.
It is, and it's kind of nice to start the toughest golf course we'll play all year. It's the toughest course in America, so we'll actually see that with the opening bell when the guys are fresh, and they have seen it before. And right now we've got 4 of the same 5 in the lineup, and possibly 5 out of 5 if the last qualifying spot works just right. And we're excited to get going.
The golf team will hit the course this weekend on Kiowa Island at the Invitational at Kiowa. Play will go from Sunday to Monday.
The defending Sunbelt Conference champion women's basketball team had some big news announced earlier this week. The 2016-17 non-conference schedule has been released, and highlighting the challenge is perennial powerhouse Tennessee, whom the Trojans will take on in December, just 4 days shy of Christmas. The Trojans will play 13 home games, opening against Belmont on November 16th, and will participate in the San Juan Shootout down in Puerto Rico. The season officially starts for the Trojans on November 11th, where Troy will travel up to Auburn to take on the Tigers.
And Chandler Rigby's women's basketball team wasn't the only Trojans on the court to make news this week, but Phil Cunningham's Trojan men's team also released their 2016-2017 non-conference schedule. And take a listen to this. The Trojans will play only 5 non-conference home games and will be on the road for the other 9. Some of the teams the Trojans will face on the road include UAB, Eastern Illinois, and Hawaii, while the Trojans will get USF, whom they defeated last year, Alabama State, and Alabama A&M. The first game of the season for Troy will be against Toccoa Falls on November 11th in Trojan Arena.
Well, that's all the time we have for Trojan Sports Now. Check us out online at youtube.com/Troy Trojan Vision to catch anything you missed.
For Jahmal Kennedy, I'm Ryan Renfrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, go Trojans.
Trojan Sports Now.